Hi, welcome to week one of our course on Beyond Social Media 101. Thanks again for joining us. Glad to have your participation. This week, week one, we'll be really starting out with kind of an overview of social media, a little bit of the philosophy of social media, and then we'll get right into Twitter. We want to jump right into Twitter because there's so much with Twitter. There's a lot of ground to cover. Part of it is some of you may not be proficient in Twitter yet. You will be, I'm confident. But there's so much you can do with Twitter, so we want to make sure there's plenty of time for that over the next 4 weeks. And then again, just a little bit of the overview, a little bit of the philosophy of social media. So you'll see a couple of PowerPoints that get into that aspect. Before I get too much in detail, I just want to say too, one of the key things on this course throughout the 4 weeks, and hopefully even beyond as you stay in touch with each other, is that networking and interaction and the sharing of information amongst ourselves. You'll be, I hope anyway, learning a lot about my views on social media and what I've found to be successful. But you all have your stories as well. I can tell you how I teach it, and you might have a different way of approaching it. And we want to make sure to share all those great ideas with each other. So plenty of discussion forums. In each week, there's also kind of a general, I can't remember what I called it exactly, but it's kind of an open forum that any question, any topic. And sometimes as I think about things throughout the week, it's just a good place to put things in that are kind of ad hoc ideas. So don't hesitate to use that as well, just to share information or ask questions. So I'm sure as you work with your clients, your students, and by the way, sometimes I'll just say students because that's my world, working in a university, and some of you have clients, but I'll use them interchangeably. But at any rate, I'm sure a lot of our job seekers out there, we have to talk with them about networking and just approaches to the job search. And you may have heard things about social media or about networking. Well, I tried that networking stuff and it just didn't work. I didn't get a job. Or, yeah, I was on LinkedIn a couple of times, but no, I don't know. I didn't find any jobs that interested me. And as we all know, you can't just try something once, like networking or social media, and then give up. So it's a process. Networking is a process. It's not going to immediately lead to a job, but it builds up. Somebody made the analogy, one of my friends, about planting the seeds well in advance of the harvest. I thought was a great way to put it. So we'll be talking about that aspect of how do we get through to students and clients about the use of social media, about networking, and how to leverage. I talk about the 5 purposes of social media. So it's not just about finding the jobs, it's about networking. It's about using certain sites to enhance your personal brand, to promote yourself. A lot of research. LinkedIn is great with this, and even Twitter. Ability to find information. All of these sites are great for sharing information. So there's a PowerPoint about the 5 purposes. Please take a look at that. Another PowerPoint talks about networking and social media. I will say I recorded both of these PowerPoints, so you hear a voiceover. For some reason, the one on networking and social media kind of conked out on me right around the time I talk about informational interviewing. So there are notes in the PowerPoint document that you can read, so I apologize for that. I tried it a couple of times, could not get it to work. So take a look at those 2 PowerPoints, and I think those will be really helpful in kind of providing that framework and again, working with your clients, really giving them kind of the framework and the philosophy about social media, how you need to be actively engaged. You need to not just be passive and sit back, create the profile, and hope the recruiters call you. So let me just check my notes real quick. Yeah, the 5 purposes. And again, each social media platform is different. We all know about LinkedIn. We're going to, again, be diving into Twitter. There's a lot more content on Twitter than you might imagine. Some sites are really primarily for personal branding, or even something like Pinterest where you can pin things and maybe show examples of your work, almost like a portfolio site. So different social media has different aspects. Snapchat's kind of interesting. We're not going to really go into depth about Snapchat, but if you have marketing students or in certain fields, Snapchat might be a good thing. And again, encourage you to share your information. We're all teachers here. We're all teaching each other, and because we might have the same knowledge, we might know the same thing. And I have a really good example of this where another career colleague just had a different way of packaging it. And I'll get into that. I think it's in week 3 or so, about how do you kind of frame it out. So it's like, oh yeah, I get that. I see the connection. So, and I have some visuals. You'll see these PowerPoints. So for example, the iceberg graphic, you can use any of these PowerPoints. Visuals are just a great way to teach. I did some research on this about 2 years ago and did a presentation at a conference on the impact of visuals in career advising. A lot of research about the learning retention. So feel free to take any of these PowerPoints and use them. And again, some of these have my sound voiceover. I can send anything to you through email if you're interested. Well, enjoy week 1. Again, I appreciate your being here. And just best way to reach me is by phone. So give me a call, text messaging. Just let me know if you have any questions throughout. And I look forward to getting to know you better as well. And get to know each other. Connect with each other on LinkedIn and Twitter and everywhere else. Take care, everyone.